January 1943, we have known for years the insane hatred which Hitler bears towards the Jews. And we have experienced, even here in our own country, the skill with which he has exploited the idea of a so-called Jewish problem. In recent years, little paragraphs in the papers have been revealing the excesses to which Hitler's hatred was carrying him, as ever more and more millions of Jews came to be helplessly in his power. But amid the strident headlines of war, these little paragraphs have been forgotten. 2 years ago, Hitler began to herd the Jews of Poland into vast ghettos in Warsaw and Lublin. Thousands died of starvation. Thousands were shot in obscure Polish towns. Thousands were tortured and lost their reason. Thousands more were killed at slave labor. We read about it at the time and then forgot. Next, he began to collect Jews from the neighboring countries. There were deportations from Slovakia, from Vienna, from the cities of Germany itself. Little paragraphs only. Amidst the war news, and their impression passed from our memory. A year ago, the same policy of deportation began to be reported from other countries Hitler had overrun. A few brave Dutch men and women stood up to protect and hide the Jews who were being demanded by the Gestapo. Norwegians, Belgians, Luxembourgeois protested and did their best to protect the victims. The paragraphs grew bigger. In August 1942, just months ago, the facts almost reached the headlines. The steady surrender of Jews in France by Laval really attracted attention. The news came from just across the channel. It could be confirmed by eyewitnesses. The Catholic and Protestant churches in France, local mayors and gendarmes did something at last. Some of the French arose, and by endangering their own lives, saved many Jews. By the autumn, there were hints that in Eastern Europe, the Jews who had been taken from Holland, France, and elsewhere, in conditions of unimaginable cruelty, were systematically being massacred. But people were sated with the horrors of war, and these rumors of atrocities passed almost beyond human imagining. And then finally, last November, the news was confirmed by all, beyond all doubt. Its authenticity was accepted by the British and American foreign officers, neither of them disposed to accept such news without the most thorough scrutiny. Hitler was not only threatening, but actually carrying out his policy of destroying the entire Jewish population of Europe. 6 million human beings, from infants in arms to old men and women, were to be deliberately killed in cold blood. They were sealed into wagons whose floors were covered with unslaked lime. They were taken out in rows and machine gunned. They were used for experiments in the effectiveness of poison gases. They were electrocuted. They were starved by the withholding of all food, or their agony was prolonged by totally insufficient rations. And in the horror of this death, families were not even allowed to die together. Husbands and wives were taken away separately, and little children, none with them to comfort and console them, were herded into trains to perish by themselves. By the ghastly passions of this madman and the brutality of those who'd been specially trained to become his executioners, it is believed that 1/3 of the entire Jewish population of Europe, 2 million of men, women, and children, have already perished. Last month, on the 17th of December, 1942, there was read out in both Houses of Parliament a solemn statement prepared by the United Nations, recording their horror at this appalling and cold-blooded massacre. But all that our own government offered to do was to execute vengeance after the war. Vengeance after the war will not save a single Jewish life. Why is nothing being done? Not openly in Parliament, but in private conversations with diplomats, high officials have betrayed the reason. It is not a pleasant one for British honor. It is that these people are regarded not as men or women or even as children, but as Jews. It is whispered, if we offer asylum in our own country and the territories we control, that Hitler might take us at our word and send us all the Jews still alive in Europe, as though the prospect should terrify instead of rejoicing us. There is only one answer to that. For those who believe there is any nobility in the cause which we are fighting, we would receive them. And if there really be 3 million of them, we will thank God that we were able to save so many from Hitler's clutches.